Good afternoon and welcome to Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Tropical Storm Grace battering sections of the island. Jamaica Teachers Association hopeful of a new wage increase deal. And later in sports, World Athletics President Sebastian Coe encourages athletes competing at the World Under-20 Championships in Kenya to use it to prepare for the senior stage. I'm Milton Walker. Here are the details. Good afternoon and welcome back to Midday News. We had to take a break because there was a failure in the public electricity supply and it disrupted our operations here. We begin again with news that several roadways in St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary and sections of St. Andrew are currently being impacted by heavy rainfall associated with Tropical Storm Grace. We also have on the line Communications Manager at the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw. Stephen, thanks for joining us on Midday News. We have been getting reports that there has been flooding in some areas of St. Andrew in terms of the parish of St. Thomas, Western St. Thomas. Stephen, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. Tell me what roads have been impacted so far by the storm?
Hi, yes. So we have gotten, we're getting reports from the parishes of Portland, St. Mary, St. Andrew and St. Thomas, mainly. Over in St. Thomas, the road to Rio Grande Valley, to the Rio Grande Bridge from Boardbrook is being impacted by fallen trees. So to the stretch from Hope Bay to Chips Hall. In St. Mary, we have a stretch from Iwo to Aguato Bay being impacted by fallen trees. So to the stretch from Alata Bay to Port George, the road leading from Richmond to Highgate is also being impacted by fallen trees. So to the road leading to Martins. In St. Andrew, Harborview, we have had reports of flooding there. In St. Thomas, the Bull Bay Main Road is underwater, and so persons are not able to go about their business with any ease at this time as it relates to that particular corridor. Elsewhere in St. Andrew, the road beyond, as you know, there is work taking place on Gordontown Road. Above that particular area, we have the breakaway. There are fords, and the fords are in state, so those sections are impassable. There is a landslide that has been reported on the Irish Town Main Road as well. So I'm not sure at this time whether vehicular access is likely on the road at this time either.
So Stephen, it's mainly based on what you're saying, flooding and down trees, and you have one report of a landslide?
Sorry, you're breaking.
Okay, I think we may have lost Stephen. Stephen, are you there? Oh, we lost Stephen. He did speak about fallen trees and some roads which are blocked because of flooding. And there was also a landslide in one area in Irish Town, that's in rural St. Andrew. From Buff Bay to St. Margaret's Bay to Port Antonio, sections of Portland are getting a thrashing from Tropical Storm Grace. In Breastworks, which is no stranger to flooding, residents are closely watching a river that runs adjacent to the community.
Right now, I'm afraid because I don't know what happened. If the tree blow down, tree fall across the river. So all of that, I'm afraid inside the river going to flood over. As the whole around here underwater, anytime the river come up, the whole place underwater.
The section from the main road from Snow Hill to Buff Bay has been reduced to single-lane traffic due to fallen trees, which has resulted in a traffic pileup.
Right now, you know, say this way they are serious, man. You know, see, lit down the wall of the tree, they block up all the road right now, we can't pass. I turn back.
Residents say they have made a few preparations to cushion the impact, but they're not really worried.
Light might gone, light and water, prepare some water. General, that's a general preparation. You know, nothing big. Get some food stuff in, you know, because, you know, shop and things might close. If we get affected, you know.
And several communities in St. Mary are currently without electricity as the parish is being impacted by heavy rainfall and strong winds associated with Tropical Storm Grace. There are reports of power outages in Highgate, Port Maria and sections of Islington. That's in St. Mary. There were also reports earlier of a power outage in the parish of Portland. And our reporter Herman Green is in Bull Bay, St. Andrew, and joins us now. Herman, what can you tell us about where you are?
Thanks, Milton. Well, I am in Bull Bay, St. Andrew. It has been a difficult morning for the residents out here. We heard about flooding at Cambrin Tree in the community, first of all. So we headed out here. They say rain was falling from last night, about 9 o'clock it started. It got heavy in the early a.m., about 2, 3 o'clock, and then eased up into the later morning. Cambrin Road, Cambrin in the community here, was so flooded out. But when we got here, the water had subsided, but we could see the debris that had come down from up on the hill down onto the main road. Weeds Road, of course, is another community that has always had trouble in the past. They didn't fare that badly this morning with all the rain. We saw debris in the road. We say, based on what they have experienced before, it was not that bad. Now, there's another section of the community of Bull Bay, Beach Lane. There had probably the most, the greatest flooding that we saw. We realized that the traffic there was a bottleneck of traffic as the road, part of the road was underwater, and so everything was narrowed down to one lane of traffic. We managed to navigate our way through there as we were coming through the community. And they said the rain was really pouring in the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock this morning, and that's when they got worried, but it ran off in the later morning. So right now, there are persons that are just happy that it hasn't lasted that long through the morning. It's still raining here. There are still persons that are out, some persons sweeping out their shops and their houses, getting rid of the dirt that had come down off the hill during the rain last night. But I think for now, they are kind of happy that the worst had passed, or they're hoping that the worst had passed. And they're just kind of sweeping out and trying to get back to normal.
Herman, have you been able to go to Harbourview? I got reports there that I think Morris Drive had seen some flooding this morning.
The report also, I can say that we were passing there. We realized that there was a bottleneck of traffic on the main road there. So we understand that debris had also washed down, blocking some of the main road. And so I think that was evidence of the flooding that had happened up there. We had already, when we passed, we got the report of the damage that would have been up there. So we didn't get a chance to stop and see what was happening. But we did see the evidence of it coming down onto the main road. There was a bottleneck of traffic there. Persons were trying to go about their business. 6 or so lanes of traffic is what we saw out there. But we managed to navigate our way around there. So we'll definitely try and make a stop there on our way back in and see what's happening. Milton?
All right. Thank you very much, Herman Green. Now, the tropical storm warning remains in effect for the parish, the island of Jamaica, based on the track of Tropical Storm Grace. And we are now joined by the head of the Met Service, Evan Thompson. Evan, good afternoon.
Milton, I hope you are hearing me clearly.
I am hearing you very clearly. Can you tell us, one, where the system is and what more can we expect for the afternoon into the evening?
Well, the system is actually, the center of Tropical Storm Grace is actually inland over the northern side of the island. It has been moving through St. Mary, heading toward the west. I'm not able to tell you if it is already, it probably is making its way through the coastal areas of St. Anne at this time, the center, but it made landfall somewhere shortly after 10 o'clock this morning and continues to move westward. The system will continue on that general track toward the west, slightly, maybe just slightly north of due west, and is expected to exit the country later this afternoon and then continue in toward the Cayman Islands during the course of this evening into tonight.
Evan, the forecast track earlier had shown that it was going to skirt north of the island. What happened? What caused it to dip a little southwards?
Well, there is an area, a high-pressure area that is to the north. This is mainly not so much at the surface, but more in the middle levels of the atmosphere that tends to steer the direction of these systems. It seems to have suppressed or constrained the system from making the gradual turn toward the west-northwest. So occasionally we would see a little drift to the north. And as it moved towards Jamaica, it didn't have enough time to move past towards, but it touched the land instead. So the expectation was that it would always move close to the north coast, but it was a little bit farther south than was originally forecast.
So it is going to pass over Jamaica. Would it mean then that given the mountain range that runs throughout the island from east to west, that will take some steam out of the storm, so to speak?
Okay, you're cracking up a lot, Milton, but I believe you're asking me about the rainfall and how long that would continue.
Yes, you can answer that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to preempt you, but I'm not hearing you very clearly. But there is a large area of showers and thunderstorms that is associated with this system. As it moves westward, that is spreading across the island. Unfortunately for us, much of the activity is behind the center, and so a lot of that is yet to pass over Jamaica because the system is probably almost midway through the island as we speak, moving across from east to west. But there's a huge area of showers and thunderstorms. It extends both to the east and to the south, and so the entire country is being engulfed by this area, and the rainfall is going to continue. I think there is no forecast on what was in all these bulletins for the past 24 hours that we would have experienced rainfall throughout the course of today, and that rainfall would amount to anywhere between 4 and 6 inches, which is tremendous rainfall moving as the system moves past the island. So we are basically experiencing that, experiencing a little bit more of the wind across the island, mainly over northern parishes, which also was part of the bulletins. They did indicate that the strongest winds, gusty winds, would occur over northern parishes, and I believe that is exactly what has happened.
Okay, Evan Thompson from the Met Service, thank you very much. Evan Thompson on a rather bad line there, speaking to us about Tropical Storm Grace. It's time for a break. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to Midday News. Now, early this morning, before the parish started to feel the effects of Tropical Storm Grace, we spoke to fisherfolk at the Paget Fishing Beach in St. Mary who were bracing for the impact. Sandy Williams has that report.
Gusty winds and rough seas at the Paget Beach in St. Mary is driving fear into fisherfolk in the area. This as a tropical storm warning is in effect for Jamaica as Grace moves closer to the island. TVJ News spoke with some of the fishermen on the beach this morning to find out how prepared they are for the inclement weather.
When they prepare enough, it just come from with sudden so all of me pack them there see this, so I just hope and pray say no come hard if it really gone with them, you know.
But we never expect it would come so sudden. You understand? Because yesterday we got set out all the fish pot. You understand? And through the weather, you know. Right now, everything out of sea there, mash up on the water right now. You understand? So we don't have a chance to go out there right now. We have to watch and see what we're going. If it will change, we better the worst.
Right now, we don't know what's going to happen further, but we're still trying. We're not going to just sit down and don't do anything. We have to do what we can do. So we try to secure the boats, the engines, the fish pots, you know, the nets. We try to take them, put them at a safe place. So and then we look out and see what's going on anymore. If we have to carry things further, later, you know, but we don't leave. Right here, see what's going on.
Some fishermen have managed to secure their boats on the beach. However, they are hoping the weather condition will change for the better. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
To other news now, the country's positivity rate fell by 4.5 percentage points on Monday. The latest data from the Ministry of Health show that the positivity rate is now 41.6%, down from 46.1% on Sunday. The Ministry of Health says 630 new COVID-19 cases were reported on Monday from 1,398 tests. The total case count is now 59,088. Kingston and St. Andrew recorded the highest with 90 cases. Westmoreland recorded 88, St. James 71. Meanwhile, 9 people have died from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. 5 deaths are from Kingston and St. Andrew, 3 from St. Catherine, and 1 from Clarendon. The death toll has increased to 1,320. Hospitalizations continue to increase. 478 people are now in hospital for the respiratory illness. 35 are critically ill. There are 9,858 active cases on the island. The Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA, is hoping that it will receive a favourable response from the government so that the wage dispute can be finally settled. The teachers have been meeting with representatives from the Finance Ministry. O'Shane Masters reports.
An increase in infrastructural spending, but for the nation's teachers, a meagre 2.5% increase was put on the table, one which was flatly rejected by the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, 2 months ago. They labelled that increase as an insult to the nation's teachers. It was once again a point of contention at the opening of a JTA's conference on Monday evening in St. James. In an interview with journalists, outgoing president of the JTA, Jasford Gabriel, said 2.5% works out to less than $600 per week.
Inflation is way above what is being offered to our teachers. And so we maintain that we needed to negotiate based on the salary and conditions of service claim that was submitted in December 2020.
He says based on one discussion that was held with the Finance and Education Ministries a month ago, it's likely that a favourable response will be forthcoming.
I believe that if we truly want to make education a priority, then we can do it. We look at the expend on, say, infrastructure compared to education, and we understand that much more can be done to make sure that we make education a top priority.
Now it's time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
In business news, energy company Fesco recorded profit of $39.9 million for the first quarter, which ended June 30. This was a 55.5% improvement over last year's results. Fesco also had a soft reopening of its ferry location. As the company continues its expansion, work is underway for the third quarter opening of the first Fesco-owned gas station, which is being constructed on Beechwood Avenue in St. Andrew. In business internationally, sales in the U.S. declined 1.1% in July, according to the Census Bureau. It was the second decline in 3 months. Even with the renewed worries about the pandemic, retail sales are still far above last year's level, up nearly 16% from July 2020. Sales at online retailers declined 3.1% in July, exceeded only by car and car part dealers, which dropped 3.9%.
A quick break. Sports is next.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. World Athletics President Sebastian Coe has urged all athletes competing at the World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi, Kenya, to take the event seriously. Coe believes the championship could play a vital part in their development to the senior level. With major events at the senior level over the next 4 years, Coe believes the Under-20s are a vital step for the next generation of athletes.
Next year, we of course move smoothly into a World Championships in Eugene, another World Championships in 2023 in Budapest. Athletics in 24 will of course be centre stage in Paris at the Olympic Games, and then into another World Championships in 25. So these championships are important. These championships are important for the athletes, their progress through our sport.
Meanwhile, Jamaican sprint hurdler Akira Nugent feels her 2021 season with Baylor University has prepared her for the Under-20 Championships. The 19-year-old had a personal best of 12.76 seconds over the 100-meter hurdles this season.
Going into national championships, like at the collegiate level, it's basically being elite, but not fully elite. And being able to go there and win national championships, it really shows that I have great potential in the elite level when I'm ready to go the senior level.
The 2021 World Under-20 Championships is set to run from August 18 to 22. To football we go now, as Reggae Boys forward Romario Williams has joined Kuwaiti club Qadsiya Sports Club on a 1-year contract. This move ends the 27-year-old's 8-month spell with Al Ittihad Alexandria in the Egyptian Premier League. Williams has scored 5 goals in 23 appearances for Al Ittihad, which is also home to countryman Damien Lowe. Williams will now be the first Jamaican to ply his trade in Kuwait. Qadsiya are one of the most successful teams in Kuwait with 17 league titles. The 2021-2022 season of the Kuwaiti Premier League is slated to kick off in September. And finally this afternoon, Jamaican footballer Ronaldo Biggs has completed his move to Slovenian top-tier club NK Domžale from Racing FC. The 19-year-old midfielder, who can also operate as a forward, completed his medical on Monday and will wear the number 7 jersey at the club. Speaking with TVJ Sports, Biggs outlined some of the goals he has with Domžale.
Well, for the 3 years that I will be in the Slovenian league playing, I would like to at least win the leading goal scorer whenever, and to also win the league. Yes, so those are the things that I want to really achieve in Europe.
These will be available for selection for Domžale's next game against Aluminij on Friday. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston, and that is it for your entire midday package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.